Okay, hi, I'm Kane, and this is my presentation of learning. This is a review of what I think I've learned in the skills and challenges that I went through in order to learn them. Some of these skills involve co-independence, planning and design, procrastination, cooking for judges, and taking on the persona of a past figure. Okay, so I guess a hero that I would include is, he's called the Master Procrastinator. Oh, okay. Protecting the city from villains and evildoers later today, or tomorrow, sometime. I feel that this is a good one because he shows that, because even though because I think that procrastination is a big part of doing work, because even if you feel that you have beaten it, it can always come back, because you may feel that just because you are ahead that you can just stop doing work for a while, and that's what he does. Okay, what I'll be talking about is some of the challenges that were involved in these skills, overcoming those challenges, the skills, and the experiences that I had. I also have some artifacts to prove with my points. Okay, cooperative independence. I'm not sure if this is an actual word, but let's just pretend it is. Okay, so I think a big part of this is being responsible for your own part. This is because when you're cooperative, what it is so you're in a group, but you each have different parts that you can work on in order to put together the whole. And it makes managing parts easier to perform and track, because then you can tell on who was working on what part, and then you can ask them, and easy to keep. Yeah. And it allows you to work independently while cooperating with your group, and I think that is a good skill because it teaches you how to work on your own, but at the same time you can work on your teamwork. And it also puts pressure on you, because then your whole group knows exactly who you are if you know what you're working on. Okay, design and planning. Designing and planning are both good skills that can be used not only in school, but in your life. Because when you design things, it's a really big part to actually plan ahead, because you have to make sure you're able to be flexible. Otherwise, because you can't control everything that happens, and you can't plan for everything that could go wrong. And so for our task, it was to design our hydroponic system and also a table. Our challenge for building the table was that we had to make it adjustable. And I think that it was interesting to work on that because our idea to make it adjustable was different than everybody else's. And I think that was unique. And for our hydroponic system, we had to create one that is cost-effective and is able to be built or made by anyone who may be interested in making one. And also, it's interesting to create a way to describe your system to other people who have no idea what it is. And when you're designing these things, you have to make sure to plan them well, because there are factors like when we were building our system, we had to add on actually extra beams and supports, because we never actually could compensate. We actually forgot to compensate for the weight of the pipes when they were filled with water. So I think that was another reason why it was okay. It was good that we were flexible with our design. Okay, cooking for judges. I think that this was also good because I learned how to cook better and different ways to cook. And a challenge for me was that I can't really handle the pressure of presenting to a bunch of people like I am now, because it's just the pressure of you think you're prepared, but sometimes the pressure gets to you and you kind of freak out. Also, it's interesting because we got to prepare food professionally, because usually you're just preparing it maybe for your family when you're eating dinner, or during the practices it was just for us, but when we were doing the competition, we were giving it to actual judges and getting a grade for it. So I think that was interesting because we also had a time limit, and this adds even more pressure because you're forced to try to manage your time and make sure you are capable of completing the things in different amounts of time. Also, the biggest challenge I think for our cooking competition that we did was one of our group members was actually missing, and he was the guy who pretty much knew how to do most of the good cooking. So that made a big impact on me, most likely, and probably our time management the most, because not only did we have to take on his roles and split it up between our group, but we had to learn on our own how to, I guess, prepare his parts of the dishes, because we never actually had to work on that because we were planning on him being there. Okay, procrastination. It's something that I think for me is a big part of my grades and my work, and because it has hindered many of your projects. Because when you have projects, you usually have an extended amount of time to work on them, and because I have that, I usually just put it off until maybe a day or two before the project, thinking that I have plenty of time. And when you're working in groups, it causes, if that procrastination causes it to be late, your teammates can get kind of irritated because they are expecting you to have no work, and the temptations of other distractions going on. It also has to do with focusing, because you tend to procrastinate if your focus and attention is diverted elsewhere, and you think that, oh, I'll come back to this after maybe a 30-minute break, and it ends up being hours upon hours of just not doing any actual work. Okay, I think my next artifact is our projects, our base projects. What we did was we were given the task of taking on the persona of a past figure based on our event that we had chosen. And what we did was we took on the event and we had to do research behind it. And then we picked the biggest, you could pick a figure that you could do it behind, and you then had to write a short couple sentence description on what was going on in the event, but you also had to put it in the person's emotions and feelings that they may have had during that time. I think my challenge was it was hard to properly personify the person, because you never really had to go through any of those challenges or hardships that they went through. And at the time, they may have been raised differently, so you never know, their personality could have been completely different. But that was a challenge that you had to, I guess, take on that persona as best as you could. And it was interesting because you had to learn many of the different perspectives. Like for my project, I had to do the Battle of Stalingrad. So what I did was I looked into the battle, and then I looked into the maybe like the soldier's perspective from both sides. And then I eventually found and decided to pick one of the generals that was involved in the biggest turning point in that battle. And I found it was interesting because even in their writings and descriptions of them, you could see that and tell that they had emotion and had got the feelings into their writings. Okay, so what just happened? I just talked about the skills and challenges that I faced over the course of this year. And I think most of them are skills that I will take away and probably use for other works later in the school year and maybe in my life. And that some of them I have not mastered that I still need to work on.
Questions for Kane? Okay, Kane, what do you think was the most, I see that, you're a procrastination man. So what was the worst procrastination situation you got yourself into this year, and how did you get out of it?
I think the biggest procrastination I did this year was probably this project. Because we were given the 2 weeks that he gave us to work on the project, so I assumed that 2 weeks is a really long amount of time, and it was just I had to just get some information and stuff and put it on slides. So I kind of put it off for a while, and then I realized that I didn't really have much, and I wasn't being very productive. So I ended up actually putting time and effort into getting the work done, and then I was able to accomplish it within the time and to meet the guidelines.
My question is also on your skills too. So you've identified the procrastination. What steps, what action plan can you take as you go into the 10th grade next year to help you work on getting better on that?
I think I should probably try to I should not put myself in a situation of putting the work off, and that I should actually do the work. No, that's just.
Okay, my challenge to you is to find a plan for next year.
There we go. Thank you, Kane.